There are things that touched you and never left. Not people, not moments, but energies, invisible, silent, but oh, so real. You didn't imagine it. That sudden anxiety, that fog in your thoughts, that strange heaviness in your chest after a simple conversation. It wasn't random. Something entered, and it stayed. This world is not just physical. It is energetic. It is spiritual. And every encounter leaves a mark. Every person you let in leaves a trace. Some of those traces bless you, but others, they bind, they bury, they infect your peace like a silent parasite. And here's what no one tells you. You can feel fine and still be carrying something that isn't yours. A fragment, a residue, a frequency that slithered in unnoticed and attached itself to your light. Chosen one, what if I told you that right now you're still hosting something someone left behind? What if the fear isn't even yours? What if the doubt never belonged to you at all? You're about to understand the danger no one taught you to see, the spiritual scar that forms after unseen contact, and the reason why some people only need seconds with you to change your energy for days. This is not superstition. This is the truth behind why your spirit never felt the same after that moment. Stay with me until the end, because the revelation you're about to receive will cleanse you, seal you, and wake you up to the silent war you've been in all along. If you've ever felt off after someone left your space, this is why. If you've ever felt haunted by a feeling you couldn't name, this is where it ends. Now do this with me. Like this video if your spirit knows this message is for you. Subscribe if you haven't, because this kind of truth is rare and you need to stay connected. And comment below 99 as a prophetic number, a number of divine sealing, of completion, of spiritual boundaries being restored. Because this isn't just a video, this is a cleansing. And it begins now. Not all wounds bleed. Not all thieves break in. Some marks are left in silence, transferred through smiles, eye contact, or a single word. Every human being is more than flesh. We are spiritual transmitters, carriers of stories, vessels of vibrations. And the truth no one wants to admit is this. You don't walk away from people empty-handed. You always leave carrying something. Every soul emits a frequency. Some shine with healing. Others hum with sorrow. Some sparkle with divine alignment. Others drip with chaos. Unprocessed trauma. Curses passed down through generations. And when your spirit brushes against theirs, you don't just feel them, you absorb them. It's not a metaphor, it's energetic law. We are all imprinting each other. Every moment, every interaction, it's happening while you're laughing, while you're listening, even while you're scrolling. This is why, sometimes, you meet someone and feel energized, seen, elevated, because their frequency amplified yours. But then there are the others, the ones who leave you drained, unsettled, numb, like something left you or something entered you without permission. It wasn't just a vibe, it was an invisible exchange, a moment where their burden met your openness and claimed space. You think it was just conversation, but spiritually, it was a transaction, and the cost of it was your peace. This is the part no one warns you about. We are always leaving energetic fingerprints on each other. The difference is, some fingerprints bless, others bind, and the most dangerous ones, they don't feel evil, they feel familiar, because they come wrapped in charm, wrapped in trauma, wrapped in need, but their imprint lingers, in your thoughts, in your behavior, in the sudden shift you can't explain. You start dreaming things you never used to dream. You start doubting things you once believed. You start questioning yourself, and don't know why. Because someone didn't just touch you. They marked you. Chosen one. This is why discernment must become your default. Not because people are bad, but because some people are bleeding, spiritually. And if you're not sealed, you'll become their bandage. You think you're being kind. But kindness without spiritual awareness is an invitation for infestation. And no, this doesn't mean living in fear. It means living in truth. Because once you know that energy is exchanged more often than money, you'll stop being so casual with your access. Now I'll ask you something uncomfortable. Who marked you, and you didn't realize it? Whose fingerprints are still on your soul, even though they're no longer in your life? Think, feel, remember. Because in the next part, I'm going to show you how those imprints don't just sit on your aura. They move through you and sabotage you from the inside. This is deeper than you thought. And we're just getting started. It doesn't barge in with thunder. It doesn't scream. It seeps, like smoke through a cracked door, like ink bleeding slowly through fabric. Spiritual contamination never introduces itself. It pretends to be you. One day you feel fine, and the next, you're exhausted for no reason. You wake up more tired than when you fell asleep. You start overthinking, second-guessing yourself, feeling strangely disconnected from your own joy. You chalk it up to stress, or hormones, or bad sleep. But deep down, something feels off. And that off doesn't go away. Why? Because it's not a mood. It's an attachment. Sometimes all it takes is a hug, a conversation, even a glance filled with jealousy masked as concern, even a touch from someone who never healed what they carry. And suddenly, without your consent, you're housing a spirit that wasn't born in you, a frequency foreign to your nature, a burden not written in your destiny. And yet, it walks with you, eats with you, sleeps beside you, answers your thoughts with whispers of defeat, as if it belongs there, but it doesn't. This is spiritual contamination, and it is subtle, but devastating. It doesn't announce itself with chaos. It disguises itself as your own voice, as your own emotions. You start questioning your purpose. Your confidence dips. You avoid things you used to love. You feel like you're carrying an invisible fog that no amount of rest or self-care seems to fix. And that's because you're treating it like fatigue, when what you're actually experiencing is possession by transference. Let that sink in. You didn't invite it in. You didn't say yes. But because you were open, because you were unguarded, because your light was shining too bright for your own awareness, something entered. Not through malice, not even always through intention, but through energetic access. And now it's nesting, feeding, multiplying, not in your body, but in your spiritual field. This is why some dreams come out of nowhere. Dark dreams, sexual dreams, nightmares of being chased, paralyzed, silenced. This is why, after spending time with certain people, you feel emotionally polluted, even if they smiled the whole time. Because spiritual contamination is rarely loud, but its effects are undeniable. You start procrastinating, you lose discipline, you become more reactive, more sensitive, less grounded. And every time you try to pray, focus, or reset, it's like something is blocking the connection. That's not just distraction, that's spiritual interference. And here's what's dangerous. The longer you host what isn't yours, the more you forget who you are. Because contamination doesn't just cover you, it reprograms you, rewires your instincts. It subtly lowers your frequency until you start aligning with things that don't even reflect your calling. And yet, you tell yourself, maybe I'm just off. Maybe I need to rest. Maybe I'm overthinking. No, you're not crazy. You're carrying something you were never meant to carry. And here's the worst part. If it stays long enough, you'll start making decisions from that contaminated place. And that's when destinies begin to derail. Because spiritual contamination doesn't just delay you, it disorients your direction. It creates confusion, disconnection, disempowerment. And if you don't catch it in time, you start building a life around a version of you that was never supposed to exist. But here's where the plot twists. What entered you can be exposed, and what is exposed can be expelled. So ask yourself, chosen one, what have I been feeling? That doesn't belong to me. What heaviness has outstayed its welcome? What fear crept in after I opened the wrong door, trusted the wrong soul, or stood too close to someone spiritually unclean? Pause. Feel it. Because you're about to learn how to close the gates. You're about to reclaim your spirit, not by running from the darkness, but by shining so much truth that no lie can survive in you any longer. Ready for the next step? Good. Because in the next part, you'll find out why you, chosen one, are both the most vulnerable and the most dangerous being to spiritual parasites. Don't blink. What's coming next will shake your perception of spiritual warfare. You didn't ask for the spotlight, but your soul was lit from the beginning. You didn't try to stand out, but heaven made you impossible to ignore. And that light, that unmistakable, untamable frequency, makes you a magnet for the broken, for the hungry, for the spiritually lost, and for forces, both human and not, that are desperate to silence your signal. Chosen one, listen carefully. Your vulnerability was not a flaw. It was the proof that your spirit was pure enough to carry what most people collapse under. But here's the side no one celebrates. Because you shine so brightly, you don't just attract attention, you attract attachment. People don't always know why they're drawn to you. They call it charisma, presence, energy. But deep down, they feel something they can't explain, a divine vibration that exposes what they've been hiding. And instead of facing it, they project it. They dump it. They latch onto you like you're their healer, their savior, their emotional landfill. And because you've been chosen, you feel it all. You carry more than you speak about. You absorb more than you understand. And sometimes you blame yourself for not being strong enough to shake it off. But the truth is, you weren't designed to shut off your sensitivity. You were built to transmute it. Still, there's a price. That price shows up in the form of emotional exhaustion after conversations that looked harmless. Random chaos entering your life without logical cause. Dreams turning dark after encounters with people who seemed fine. A heaviness in your chest that arrives the moment certain people leave your home. You are not imagining it. You are spiritually absorbing their unprocessed energies. Why? Because your field is open. Your light invites transformation. But instead of transforming themselves, they try to dump their toxins into you, hoping your soul can handle what theirs could not. And many times, it does. But even the strongest filters must be cleansed. Now here's the powerful paradox. You are the most vulnerable to spiritual contamination, but you are also the most resilient. Because while others carry wounds like identities, you carry wounds like keys. You learn from pain. You listen to your discomfort. You evolve from every spiritual scar. You don't just survive the attacks. You become sharper from them, wiser, quieter, more dangerous to darkness. But before you can cast out what's been transferred into you, you have to see it. You have to be bold enough to say, this emotion isn't mine. This fear didn't start with me. This heaviness doesn't belong in me. Because until you recognize the foreign invader, you will treat it like it's part of your personality. And the enemy's favorite tactic? Making you believe you are the problem. But no, you're not broken. You've just been carrying what was never yours to hold. You were infiltrated, not defeated. Impacted, not destroyed. Touched by darkness, but never claimed by it. And the moment you reclaim your awareness, the moment you stop normalizing spiritual fatigue, is the moment your resilience activates in full force, because what enters you can only stay if you remain unaware of its presence. But once you identify it, name it and speak against it, it has no legal right to remain in your spirit. So take a breath, close your eyes, and ask yourself, what emotional weight am I still carrying that never started with me? Feel it, face it. Because in the next segment, we're going into the unseen gates that allowed this energy in. And trust me, you're about to understand exactly how it got inside and how to shut the doors forever. Not all doors have hinges. Some don't even make a sound when they open. They exist between words, inside glances, within moments so ordinary, you'd never imagine the magnitude of what just entered your life. These are unseen portals, the spiritual gateways that most people walk through every day, without ever realizing they left the door wide open behind them. You see, energy doesn't need permission. It just needs access. And that access comes in forms we rarely question. A deep stare that lingers too long. A late-night message from someone emotionally unstable. A story you didn't need to hear but felt too guilty to stop. Even watching a video you knew your spirit didn't agree with. But you clicked anyway. Every single one of these is a spiritual portal, a gate, a crack in the armor. And once opened, something passes through. It might be subtle at first. A shift in your mood, a strange dream, a moment of temptation that feels irrational, but overwhelming. And before you know it, you're hosting a presence that never announced itself, because you didn't recognize the entry point. This is why so many chosen ones feel like they're under attack without knowing where it began. It's not always the big events. It's the small, silent invitations, the unguarded interactions, the soul-level downloads you accidentally accepted by being too open, for too long. You weren't careless. You were just unaware that what you call connection might have been a transference ritual in disguise. And here's the terrifying part. You don't need physical contact for a portal to open. Spiritual energy travels faster than sound. It moves through screens. It vibrates through words. It pierces through frequency. That harmless conversation on a bad day. That trauma dump from someone who only comes around when they're in chaos. That seductive DM you responded to out of boredom. Every one of those was an energetic transaction, and some of them opened doors that allowed darkness to disguise itself as intimacy. Because the enemy doesn't always come with horns. Sometimes it arrives with a soft voice, a broken past, a desperate story you feel spiritually obligated to carry. But listen closely. Compassion is not consent. Your empathy does not require your exposure. And your spiritual field is not a public hallway. It is a sacred temple, a throne room. And every time you allow access to someone unclean, you invite their residue to live where only light was meant to dwell. This is why discernment isn't optional anymore. This is why boundaries aren't just trendy self-help tips. They are spiritual firewalls. And without them, you're not just vulnerable. You're unguarded territory, free for possession, free for confusion, free for delays, disruptions, and attachments that were never assigned to your destiny. So here's what you need to understand. You don't just protect your time. You don't just protect your home. You protect your frequency. Because what enters your frequency steers your future. And if you're careless with access, you will find yourself building a reality shaped by people who had no right to touch your soul. Chosen one. This is the hour to shut doors you never meant to open. Seal conversations that leak your energy. Refuse entry to souls who hide daggers inside their compliments. Cleanse the portals, both digital and emotional, that you've been leaving cracked out of guilt, boredom, or loneliness. Because whether you realize it or not, every open gate is a potential invitation. And not every guest leaves when the party ends. Now take a moment. Think of the last interaction that left you mentally foggy. Think of that one person who always checks in, but never leaves you better. Think of that comment, that song, that account you follow that doesn't sit right in your spirit. That's the portal. That's where it slipped in. And that is what you must now close. But how? That's the next revelation. Because in the final part, you will learn exactly how to cleanse, seal, and reclaim what was stolen through invisible doors. And once you do, nothing, and no one, will ever get in again without permission. You are not cursed. You are not broken. You are not too far gone. But if you've made it this far in the video, then something inside you knows. Something entered your life, and it's time to cast it out. This is where the shift begins. Not in fear, not in panic, but in mastery. Because chosen one, the real danger is not what entered. The real danger is when you forget that you have the authority to expel it. No more tolerating what drains you. No more carrying what doesn't belong. No more negotiating with energies that were never invited. It ends now. The first step, recognition. Call it out. Not in your mind. Out loud. Why? Because the spiritual realm doesn't respond to thoughts. It responds to sound, to decrees, to voice. Say it now. Whatever is not mine, whatever was transferred into me without permission, I revoke your access. You do not belong in my body, my soul, or my space. Say it like you mean it. Say it like your future depends on it, because it does. Next, cleanse your space, not with trends, with intention, with prayer, with sound. Play worship. Speak light into every room of your home. Open the windows, yes, literally, and command every hidden presence to leave. Use your authority. Use your oil. Use your words. You don't need to see the thing to defeat it. You just need to deny its right to remain. Then, go deeper. Close the portals. Look at your life. What conversations did you leave wide open? What content did you consume that left you spiritually nauseous? What relationships are bleeding your peace long after they ended? Shut them down. Block the number. Delete the thread. Unfollow the account. Cancel the soul tie. Because some of the shadows living in your aura today walked in through doors you never meant to open, but refused to close. You have to seal it. Seal it with intentional silence. Seal it with new declarations. Seal it with radical protection of your frequency. And then, cut the cords. Yes, the cords. Those invisible threads that connect your energy to people, places, and memories that are long gone, but still draining you like open wounds. You don't need to wait for closure. You don't need their apology. You don't need to understand what went wrong. You just need to disconnect. Spiritually, energetically, permanently. Cut the cords with your voice. Say their name. Speak your freedom. Reclaim your space. Command. Every tie between my spirit and theirs, be severed now. Their energy has no claim over me. I am sealed. I am clean. I am free. Let that echo. Let it shake the walls of your inner world. Because what entered you might have come in unnoticed, but it will not leave unnoticed. You will drive it out, with boldness, with faith, with full awareness that you were never powerless. This is your moment, not of cleansing only, but of reprogramming your spiritual boundaries. You're not just clearing energy, you're declaring spiritual war. You're rebuilding your field, you're locking the gates, you're standing like a warrior in your own life, finally. And here's what will happen next. You'll feel lighter. Your sleep will shift. The atmosphere around you will start to obey you. Because when a chosen one reclaims their space, even the spirits hiding in silence start to tremble. So get ready. Because in the final moment of this video, you're not just going to reflect, you're going to walk away sealed, transformed, and spiritually untouchable. Stay with me. You've cast it out. Now it's time to rise into the fullness of who you really are. Chosen one. Feel this moment. Because everything you've heard was never just information. It was a spiritual awakening, a call from heaven to remind you who you really are. You were never meant to walk around contaminated. Never meant to question your identity because of energy that wasn't even yours. You were not created to carry the poison of others. You were chosen to radiate something divine, something clean, something untouchable, something so rare. The enemy had to send 1,000 distractions just to dim it, but they failed. Because you're still here, still shining, still sensitive, still undeniably chosen. So now, you cancel every hidden imprint. You shatter every unseen cord. You cleanse every trace of contamination that tried to remain. This is your command. This is your declaration. Say it with me. What is not mine must leave now. Say it louder. Say it with your chest. Say it like something is breaking off of you as you speak, because it is. The spirit world hears you, and it backs up when you stand in your authority. From this moment forward, no spirit can linger in your house uninvited. No gaze can infect your light. No memory can haunt your soul. You are sealed. You are clean. You are untouchable. The residue is broken. The access is revoked. The war is over. And you have won. Comment below. I seal my spirit from all unseen attacks. Let the darkness know you are no longer hosting its games. Let heaven see your agreement. Let every chosen one reading it feel less alone. And don't keep this breakthrough to yourself.